For those of you joining us for the first time, this is a podcast about a small group of amateur writers who submit and critique each other's work, as well as discuss the written media that we consume. It's like a book club, but with a wider focus. Our group submissions are shared on our website, badstorytellers.com. We also accept your submissions for critique. If you'd like some feedback with the same candor that we give each other, send in your submissions to badstorytellers@gmail.com. Entries must be 10 pages or less. Do not fuck around with the size of the font. We will get mad. Also, at the end of the show, we roll the dice, pick 3 genres, and come up with a movie idea. And once we decide on a name, we record the trailer for your listening pleasure. All right, welcome everybody to Bad Storytellers. It's been 2 weeks since our last meeting. We're -1. We don't have Doug this week, but we got a lot to talk about because it's been 2 weeks and there's been a lot of media. I've consumed a lot. You guys consumed a lot?
I have been of one thing.
Okay. Well, we've got some retractions from last week.
Of course we do.
We got a decent amount of them. I'm happy with the amount we have. Okay, so first of all, Max was 100% correct. I just wanted to point this out for clarification for anybody who's listening to the last one. The Battle of Hastings was in October 1066.
Booyakasha.
This is just a fact he threw out to counter a false fact you knowingly threw out, but he just knew it. So
I know when the
good
Battle
on
of
you,
Hastings
Max.
are.
I didn't know the Battle of Hastings was October 1066. Nissan North America is located in Mississippi. It is a Japanese company, not a Korean one, but Max's car was assembled in Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. It's got a 3 in the VIN number.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out in 2001. Thunderpants was released in 2002.
All right.
Thunderpants, a movie everyone needs to see. A Canticle for Leibowitz is written by Walter M. Miller Jr.
Ooh, I finished that?
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And in the upcoming Preacher TV show on AMC, Jesse is played by Dominic Cooper, and Liam was right. He plays Howard Stark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I saw Captain America 2. It's the young Howard Stark. The older Howard Stark is a completely different actor.
Okay.
Which is not the same as the young Tony Stark is still Robert Downey Jr.
I read the comics. I think I'm good.
It has nothing to do with the comics.
That's not selling.
Nothing. It has nothing to do with the comics.
Yeah.
It's just a remake of Friends.
All right.
You got really excited.
If the
Just Friends with superheroes?
If S.H.I.E.L.D. hired the Friends cast.
Imagine Matthew Perry having to decide what to do about Thanos.
Is that the years when he was like coked up or drunk or whatever? He doesn't.
Oh, season 2 to like 4.
Yeah,
he just doesn't remember it all.
them.
So, what do we consume other than this drink I'm consuming right now over the past 2 weeks?
I've been doing hard on the anime, and I just caught up to
Going hard in the paint?
where Naruto is now. I completely caught up with it, and it's like 400 episodes deep in.
Jesus.
Oh my god! And it's not even close to being done.
Yeah.
And it makes me so sad. Like, got to the last episode and was like, no, you can't do this to me. I know it's over. It's supposed to be over, and then the manga's over.
Wait, so it's in the Great Ninja War?
Yeah.
Okay, and
It's pretty deep into that.
I didn't know the TV show hadn't caught up by now.
No, it has not.
Wow.
Oh, it's
Because the manga's been done for a long time.
for like over a year.
Yeah.
And then I watched a new anime called My Hero Academy, and it's One Punch Man about teenagers
So it's like the Academy in
that would
One
train.
Punch Man.
Yeah, and it's just that story. And I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's fun. It's goofy. The main character doesn't have any superpowers, and it's his story of like overcoming that.
What's he doing there?
It's revealed in the first episode that a big thing happens in his life, and they're like, one of it is like, to be a hero, you don't have to be strong or anything. You have to just act when no one else
you have
does.
to go do the hero
go
thing.
do the thing. If you go do the thing, no one can be mad at you. You could be the strongest person in the world. If you don't help, you're not a hero.
I always thought it was a stupid thing where people were like, Batman's not a superhero because he doesn't have superpowers. I'm like, then Lex Luthor isn't a supervillain. And I think we all agree that Lex Luthor is a supervillain.
Yeah. And if you're any random villain and all you do is snatch purses, you're just a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, eh.
Yeah, it
There's
does take a lot to become a villain.
There's a great line in Incognito where the parole officer for the main character who has to pretend to be not superpowered, he's like, so what'd you do? He's like, I did some crime, I did this. He's like, you call stealing the gems of this and like nuclear thing crime? And he's like, yeah, when it's for money. You know? So, haven't you been watching those DC animated movies?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's what I was doing today. I watched All-Star Superman, which the comic was just better in a lot of ways. They cut out, I think, too much of the fun interstitial stuff that I like, and they made it mostly about his battle with Lex Luthor. But it was good. It was worth watching.
Okay.
Batman Year One, If they cut Batman out of it completely and just made it about Jim Gordon, I would have liked it
Oh,
better.
like the comic.
Yeah. No, well, the whole thing is it's still really heavily on Gordon. Pound for pound, Batman's in it more than the comic, to its detriment.
Interesting.
And I'm right in the middle. I finished the first part of a 2-part movie that they did for Batman Returns, and I forgot how ham-fisted Frank Miller was with his personal politics in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty hard. Although Batman doesn't actually seem to be the voice of it. It's all the TV spots and the making fun of pop psychology stuff. And
Right.
although he bashes conservatives and liberals pretty hard in his own way.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know, the DC animated movie universe or whatever production company's doing that. I think the worst one I've seen is probably the Damian Wayne Son of Batman one.
Oh, okay.
And it was still good. It just wasn't great.
The only one I saw I didn't really like, it was the New Frontier one. And it's because they cut out all the stuff with the Suicide Squad and the island with the Native American and like tracking the giant T-Rexes and stuff. And when they cut that out, they lost the tone of the comic, which was much darker and I don't know, it's hard to explain.
It was supposed to be like the dark period in between the Golden and Silver Age.
Yeah.
And then it became too much of like a Silver Age movie.
I mean, I like the comic a lot better, but I think it's just because the comic just has more of everything.
But it still wasn't bad.
No.
It's still worth watching.
It just doesn't feel like the comic did, which I don't know. I think probably some of the other movies do. Like the Planet Hulk movie felt like the comic, even though they switched some stuff in and out. What about you, Max?
I finished A Canticle for Leibowitz.
Mm-hmm. Can you recap what that's about again?
It's about the apocalypse, nuclear apocalypse happens in the late 60s, early 70s, and then it cuts to a couple hundred years later where the survivors of that war have destroyed as much knowledge as they could get their hands on, and the Catholic Church, through monks, is collecting that information. And after a couple hundred years, they have no idea what it means, but they're preserving it and remaking it. And then it just follows through, like, society rebuilding itself.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what'd you think?
I really liked it. It went in a lot of places I wasn't expecting, and it was kind of interesting to see the church as
protector of knowledge rather than destroyer.
It's been that a few times,
yeah,
especially like the Jesuit order and stuff like that.
Irish monks.
Yeah, but just in popular culture, they're usually one of the go-to boogeymen, and it was interesting.
And in history.
Well,
there's been some
historically,
stuff.
Of course. Rough. Yeah, but it was a really good read, and it definitely jumps around, and just a great book. Then I started reading V for Vendetta again. Haven't read it in a number of years.
It took so much work. I remember that when I finished it, I was like, wow, how long did it take him to write this?
Yeah. I like it because I'm interested in the whole Maggie Thatcher, Britain, putting cameras everywhere and walls and stuff. And so it's interesting seeing that from a viewpoint of someone who was actually there.
And hated it.
Yeah.
And there's lines in it that could never make their way into the film.
No.
Because it's...
well, like Evie's a prostitute or a wannabe prostitute, and in the movie they have her working for the BBC.
Yeah.
It's just like...
well, like especially when he's giving roses to all his victims in the movie and in the comic. Mm-hmm. But they're like, well, are you going to kill... What's the leader's name? Is it just leader? I don't remember what they call him.
Yeah, because it's like the fingers, the head, the tongue. It goes through...
Yeah, and she's like, are you going to kill him? He's like, are you going to give him a rose? He's like, no, I've prepared a very special rose for him. And you find out there's a whole subplot with a woman named Rose, and it's really well done. It's just...
It makes him eviler.
Yeah.
It's really good. But also in the comic, you don't know whether or not V is even a man. Like, you don't know. I mean, not whether he's a man or a robot, but like whether he's male or female.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is back.
Oh, second season? I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished the first season.
Lauren and I are on the second or third episode, and it's back. The first episode is made to confuse, so you feel like you've missed things, and then you get right back into it.
Cool.
It's good.
You recommend it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And then, let me see. In my continuing Harry Potter series, I'm on Goblet of Fire, just starting Goblet of Fire.
Oof, the turning point.
So it's gonna get real dark.
What number is that?
4.
5? Oh, 4?
4. Okay.
Yeah. That's when things started going worse than
you
think they would at a boarding school.
It's the point where like that. I feel like that was also the point in where like when that book was released, everyone was like, witchcraft is now evil. I'm like, you're not angry at witchcraft. You're angry that people die.
Yeah.
In a children's book, that's what you're angry at.
Which It's based on all the great children's books where people die. Oh, I had to watch part of The Wiz today.
Yeah,
pretty
That's
bad.
a good movie.
For my job, and
I like The Wiz.
It's fun.
I've never seen it before, and I just came in
Move on down.
at a certain point where, like, I guess they were trying to do the trees from The Wizard of Oz, where, like, the subway started ripping itself apart and chasing them, and it was pretty weird to come into at that point.
You ever see Return to Oz?
No, I haven't.
That's a head trip.
Oh
Yeah.
the
The Gnome King.
It feels like you're on mushrooms half the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
the Baum novels are just insane. Are they novels?
I think they're like novellas almost.
Novellas?
I don't
They're
know.
pretty short.
No one else cared about
I haven't
that
read
but
them.
us. Yeah. I think the new Oz movie they're making was going to be based on the actual book, from what I heard.
Didn't they make Oz the Great and Terrible with James Franco?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did not watch that because no one did.
No.
Okay.
But they're making another Wizard of Oz, and they want to have it based on the book, which will be crazy.
Well-
Anything else? Go Pens, but that's it.
Go Pens.
Yeah.
Go Mets.
What are Pens?
Pittsburgh Penguins are
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Mets games.
playing hockey right now,
Oh, okay.
and I hope that they win.
Well, let's see. For me, I consumed a lot. I read and finished that Valis book by Philip K. Dick
Yeah.
about the Californians, talking about the nature of life and God and subliminal suggestion and stuff. I finished it. There's a whole trilogy. I am not reading any of the others.
Oof, really?
Yeah, no, not at all. Because I don't care what happens to anybody in that book.
What happens again? Could you recap?
Okay, there's a guy named Horse Lover Fat who's friends with Philip K. Dick, who's in the novel, who is the narrator. But it turns out Horse Lover Fat is Philip K. Dick. It's just a separate personality that is going through a spiritual transformation that he's too afraid to face, which sounds like it'd be interesting, except it's not.
Also,
Now, I'm sure there's
horse
tons of
lover
people-
fat. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I guess Philip.
Those are two things that he loved immensely. That he couldn't. He
Well,
just thought himself as a fat horse lover.
No, the name Philip means lover of horses, and Dick is like the German word for fat. So he projected himself into the horse lover fat, and his friends know that this person doesn't exist, but they just don't talk about it. And finally, at one point, the person who is like the second coming of Christ is like, "Yep, I'll fix that." Boom, and he's like, "Why'd you do that? Oh, you killed him." And she's like, "Yeah, you're fine."
I think I saw a really, really bad like sci-fi version of this.
It's not a sci-fi movie, except for there's a satellite that is beaming things into people's brains that's never explained. It's fucking terrible. I really dislike this book.
The movie made it way worse. I've never read the book, but I know that it's better than the movie.
It's
If it's that movie, then
the book, it ends with just a list of all of the. It ends with a list of every metaphysical assertion that he makes in this book. He just numbers it and then repeats it. Like, oh, you read all this story? Well, here's everything we went over, basically. Here's a recap of all the assertions.
what a douche.
Yeah.
No, you're going to want to talk about these later.
Yeah.
No, well, maybe not. What a douche. What an insane person he actually was.
It really is terrible. I don't have any other way to put it.
Oh.
I'm sure some people have read it and they love it and they think it's just a head trip and it's so interesting how he has this crazy take on the world. And maybe it's interesting to you, not interesting to me.
No.
I mean, if I want to read something by a crazy person, I get more entertainment out of the Marquis de Sade.
I also just finished Farnham's Freehold, the Heinlein.
What's that?
There's a nuclear war again, and the
I'm
rocket
seeing a theme.
the rocket that hits him flips him and his fallout shelter into the future,
Okay,
and
I'm with you.
goes crazy from there, and it's really good. But it kind of gives lie to the assertion that he was a fascist, because it's completely opposite. We're talking about personal freedom is more important than anything else, where people are always going down on him. We're like, no, he wrote Starship Troopers because he's a fascist.
Which people are always going down on me.
Yeah. Well, write Starship Troopers,
Okay.
or the equivalent.
I don't understand how you could read Starship Troopers and Stranger in a Strange Land and then go, no, he's 100% Starship Troopers. Because
Yeah.
it's the same guy.
People,
But also, like, calling him a fascist for Starship Troopers is pretty heavy-handed. He's like, more it was like an idea of how to structure a military.
Well,
Yeah.
and society, because it like removes citizenship from people and stuff like that. So I can see why somebody would.
yeah, but that's one book.
Yes, it's one book out of several that out of I don't know, dozens.
It's like Shakespeare didn't really want Italian teenagers to kill themselves.
No,
It was just a story.
He didn't care whether they did or not.
but
Well, yeah, but he didn't want them
to be fair, that book makes claims that things would be better this way.
Yeah.
It does, but then so does Stranger in a Strange Land, and it's completely the opposite. Because the point of view character believes it.
That's like, I always like Brave New World better than 1984, just because it'd be more fun.
I think 1984 is a better book from start to finish. It's just,
Yeah.
it's better written, it's
No, I
more
mean like
concise.
to live in.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
paradise in
People are
Brave
like,
New
oh,
World.
but the underpinnings. I'm like, yeah, but who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
There's
that
like-
one
there's-
guy hanged
just hang
himself,
out.
but that's it.
There's terrible
Yeah, he
underpinnings
hung
to the
out.
world we live in now that you
Yeah.
you just ignore all the time.
Don't talk about that.
So I also read The Road.
Oh my
By
god,
Cormac
how are you still
McCarthy.
alive?
Oh, that book. That was a book.
That is the next book on my stack, and I've been
You've been putting it off?
yeah, because I read Blood Meridian, and that book made me sad.
It's good. I highly recommend it. I'm glad I waited until my son was 2.5 to read it because it's brutal. It's really brutal. I saw the movie right after he was born, and the movie is actually pretty faithful. It's really good. It's crazy the cast they got into too that nobody ever saw it. It was Viggo Mortensen, Charlize Theron.
Really? Because that's people recommend that to me all the time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I
And then I'm
never
like,
heard anybody talk about it.
I've seen it.
Was it Robert Duvall? Who else is in it? Somebody else. Guy Pearce.
It was a very interesting film.
It's
Never
pretty-
want to see it again.
It's very faithful to the book, except for all the extra awful shit that's in the book. And there's just moments where there's little dialogues that can't be remade into a film because they just take too long. That you just can't watch two people go back and forth that fast for that long. But in a book, it's great.
Interesting.
I started reading the next book I'm reading is called Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan. It's a cyberpunk novel. It's really long. I don't know anything about it. So far, it's okay.
Cool.
It's like it starts off, and it's about this gunfight he gets into with this lady that he likes, and she gets turned into meat pie, and he gets shot through the back, and then he wakes up in a tank, and they're putting him back together. And you ever see The Sixth Day
Yeah.
with
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger? When they clone you, now I don't think he's being cloned, but when they clone you in The Sixth Day, you wake up at the moment you died.
Whoa.
So people pop up and they're like, "Oh, you motherfucker!" Like just immediately.
Sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, so that's what happens to him in this is that he's like mid-run basically as he wakes up. So that's as far as I've gotten. I've just started it.
Cool.
Cool idea so far. It's written well. I read The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman.
I have an autographed copy of that, but I have not read it.
I recommend it, and I recommend it highly because it's the exact writing style I think I have to use for the book I'm writing right now.
Yeah.
It changed. It really helped me realize a few things about
with just like straight up style.
style. Yeah, I'm not trying to. I don't know.
Appropriate.
Take his style from him. It's just there's a lot of things he does. I don't have his voice, but stylistically, there's a lot of things I'm like, oh, this is a good way to say something from this kid's perspective, or a good way to frame it. And I really like it. It's good. It's scary. There's some parts in it that are really, really scary.
Also, he's stolen from the best already.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So it's not like if you ever ask him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the most unique voice in writing." He's like, "No, I stole a lot of stuff."
Sorry,
Just
I got through a lot of media, guys. I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I started listening to History on Fire podcast by Daniele Bolelli. He's an Italian professor of history in America, and he has an adorable accent. So he talks to you like this, and he says, "Don't worry, the story gets much better." But he's very embarrassed about his accent because he
Guido Sarducci.
yeah, no, exactly. But he gets very embarrassed about his accent because he knows that he's not saying things correctly, because in Italian you have to pronounce every letter. So he'll say things like, this money lender put somebody in a lot of debt. So, but it's good. He's a good storyteller.
Doesn't it suck being a genius, but not in your language? Like, you got to speak to someone, you're like, oh, are you dumb? It's
Speaking
like, no,
from
I just-
experience, yes.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I listened to the one he had about the 3 servile wars of Rome, and it was 2
I don't
podcasts.
know anything about
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, well,
Ah.
Spartacus is the 3rd servile war.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good. I recommend it. I also been watching more Dragon Ball Super, which is great, and Daredevil's Netflix season 2, and I'm not done with it yet. It's taken me fucking forever. And I saw Captain America: Civil War yesterday, and I like it. I liked it a lot, except for after I was done, I was like, that was about an hour too long. You could have cut an hour out of that movie, and it would have been faster and better and more emotional. But neither of you guys have seen it, right?
No,
Nope.
I haven't seen any of the Avengers movies.
Really? You should see
Yeah.
the first one.
First one, and you can see the second one. It's fine.
You should see the first one and then see Captain America 2. That's a good sequel to the first Avengers.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw Thor, but
God,
think
I saw
that's
Thor
Marvel.
too.
I don't like the
I
first
didn't
one.
see.
I hated the first
I don't like
one.
either of the Thor movies, actually, now that I think about it. Actually, the first one was okay, but The Avengers is a better Thor movie and a better Hulk movie than any of the other Hulk movies.
Yeah, I can see that. The Hulk movies have been,
It's hard doing a Hulk movie, though.
Yeah.
The Avengers didn't have any problem with it.
Because it's not a Hulk movie.
I guess Joss Whedon just gets the Hulk.
No, but
he
doesn't have to be around the whole time, and you only have to draw out his pathos over an entire movie.
Yeah.
You're retreading some ground, or you're spending a lot of time with a lot of guys in military uniforms going like, we gotta get the Hulk. Which is a lot of what the comic books are.
Yeah.
And I was telling Liam earlier, the new version of Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War is the most comic accurate, best version, best personality, best portrayal of Spider-Man I've seen on film, period.
He said he was 15. That makes me so fucking
happy.
happy.
I've seen the movies. I'm pretty sure Spider-Man's in college.
And Black Panther is really good. Although the parts that you can cut out of this movie are pretty much anything with Spider-Man. And anytime the Avengers fight each other, except for Tony Stark versus Captain America, when it's them in a separate area.
Spoiler alert.
No, that's not a spoiler. It's in the fucking previews.
It's also like the thrust of the movie that everyone knows exists.
All right. So we don't have any group submissions, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, we have no group submissions this week, but that's because we're all at we're kind of at a emergency situation for each of our stories. So
and I've been there for a while, and we didn't get to talk about it last time.
Me too. Except for, I mean, I got some work done. I can show it to you, but I just want to. I don't like it, and I want to drill through it.
I know I'm going to scrap mine.
Well, let's get started, Liam.
All right, we are at Winterhome. We have our two main characters. We've set
This
up
is the Fox and the Ox.
Yeah, and we've set up a secondary girl character, and I need some more stuff to happen between now and the choosing.
Okay.
Just like a chapter more.
Are there other villages arriving?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's other villages that are gonna be arriving. They're gonna flesh out, their hearth group of their year together. And I also am aware of the idea that there would be like winter games because it's the only time when they all meet up.
Mm-hmm.
And also like all weddings and any social thing that you do, all be done now. That would be where everything would go. So I'm like, should there be a wedding? Should there be winter games? Should there be like a clans meet where they decide something political and this is the first year that they're allowed to go to it? Because now they're adults.
Yeah, it sounds like this would be a good opportunity to start the world building because you could introduce like, oh, this next group of people arrived. They were from such and such, and one of the people knew one of their fathers, and they start talking, and you're like, oh well, we still got to wait on these last people for this one event, and then the event can start, and then maybe somebody brings a prisoner. It's like somebody brings somebody in chains, and they're like, what did he do? Like, oh, we got to do this, and then you can go through the legal thing of how that's handled.
And I don't want to spend too much time on any single thing, but it's more about figuring out when this society is so that after they're chosen, things can start happening. Like the real stuff can start happening. But I don't feel like you could do it without building more of it because then you don't know what the consequences of whatever the decisions that they're going to make later are. Because I know I want the Ox to leave the community to go after the Fox to go save him. Mm-hmm. But doing that, you're a deserter. You left your job. You can't choose a person over the group. You can never do it. You can't leave your job. You'll endanger more people that way. So that's what it's going to... That is the main turning point.
So maybe if it's...
But you got to get there.
Is it because he gets taken and they convene on whether or not to help him? They're like, no, it's too big of a thing of resources.
Yeah.
We're not going to go.
And he's like, I'm going to do it. And they're like, there won't be a place for you if you come back. And he's like, I don't give a shit.
What do you want to workshop? You want to get...
I just need some ideas for Winter Games. And the Winter Games, I want them to participate to show a little bit more of their value, and I don't want them to necessarily like win, but I want a clever explanation of why they're good at something, and they don't need to be the best at it, but the other people muscle their way through it, or like the Fox doesn't muscle his way through it. He thinks his way out of something, and then like gets second place even though he's just a kid. And then I just straight up want the Ox to like do something like the log carry and just lose by 1 or 2 steps. To some just the strongest guy in the village, to the guy, and he does like he only loses by 1 step, and he's so angry at himself for losing, and then the guy just puts his like hand on his shoulder, and he's like, "You're going to be terrifying."
Yeah, I guess okay. So there's a log carry that you have.
That's a good one, and it immediately makes sense for the Ox. We're just like
riddles were a big thing.
Now I got to think up riddles.
I'm just saying that was like
what has no handle, side, or a lid, but golden treasure inside is hid.
An egg.
Sorry.
Or maybe like an obstacle course or something.
I was thinking like a long distance run.
Yeah.
And it's in the snow and everyone's wearing furs and he shows us up in shorts and just bolts.
I was thinking like what I was thinking is something like Chunin exam where there's some kind of like,
trick to something.
They have to go into the forest and the last year champion is carrying something that the others have to get from them.
Mm-hmm.
And the first person to exit the forest with it, their group wins.
Well, I don't want it to be a group. I want it to be the fox on his own. He needs to be foxy when he does it.
Foxy.
Yeah.
Or you could have the big guy take the thing and be getting out of the woods, and then the fox has like a rope trap set up and just takes it.
Maybe.
Make him, because he's got to be his own thing. He can't just be the guy who hangs out with the ox.
No, in fact, the ox is the guy who hangs out with the fox
Yeah.
for most of the beginning. Where like the
Mm-hmm.
clever pretty one is beating out the big dumb one.
Well, it's like when Alexander went to knot tying.
Yeah.
He had to untie the Gordian knot, and he's like, I can figure it out. And he just takes his knife and goes, tink. And they're like, you cheated. He's like, nope. No, I didn't.
You wanted this thing free, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal?
I did it.
It's done. It's a Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah, I want a Kobayashi Maru. That's what I want.
Okay.
I want for him something that displays that the ox isn't fully physically developed. He's going to get bigger. He's going to come into his own.
Mm-hmm.
The fox is all there mentally already.
So
He's already like the intelligence required to be impressive is already there.
So you need an unwinnable situation that's treated as like a classic, maybe something that's a typical challenge.
Or even a situation where someone that much younger and that with that less amount of experience cannot be expected.
What
to
about
win.
something like chess?
Yeah, maybe.
Like they could have their own form of strategy game?
Yeah, but then the whole thing is I have to invent my own strategy game and then explain it.
You
or I'm looking
get
for
to
something.
do those things?
See, when you're like, I have to do this if I do that, and I have to do this if I do that, I'm like, that's the part I have a problem not doing.
I want it to be.
I'll start doing that stuff, and I'm like, I can't do this right now. I have to force myself away from it.
But I just want something simple and elegant where I don't have to. I don't want to have to explain how the game works so much. I want to explain how he circumnavigated the game. Where like if it's something like a simple foot race, I want the thing that he does to be the clever part, not the building of the game.
Well, the foot race is good. Swimming, maybe?
No one's swimming
Okay.
in 30 below ever.
What about something like a rodeo?
Okay.
You know, it's a physical challenge, but it takes balance and that kind of thing.
My thing would be swimming, but he like rubs himself in grease first and just swims right through.
Would rubbing yourself in grease help you swim?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it keeps
I've
the
never
cold
done
out.
that. Oh, okay.
So if you're swimming in cold water, it's going to keep it warm.
Maybe.
Something that he would be able to do. Or like wrestling, where he's greased up. A lot of I'm thinking nomadic, and a lot of it was like wrestling and running and shooting archery.
That's why I'm thinking rodeo.
I'm thinking like Celtic Slavic.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's like capturing a bull or something like that? Like you have to capture the bull, you have to lead it into an area, and he finds a way to not to cheat because there's no rule against it, but there's like, well, you're supposed to put it in here, and he's like, I won, here it is, and they're like, come on.
You're supposed to drag it, or something, or like tease it in, and he's like, no, I calmed it down and I brought it in. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Or got it to run through a net or another thing or something. Yeah.
I like that. It also reminds me of the Minoan
or just
bull
the
dancing.
idea, or the idea he just wrote it in, like he just got on his back and wrote it in.
Or he's been feeding that bull every year
Like
up until now, and he's like, and now he's basically been priming all the bulls in the stable to recognize him, so that whichever one gets picked, he's
fine.
That's awesome.
That actually sounds.
I like
great.
that because it requires so much planning.
It's even funnier if it is like a rodeo bull riding, because the bull gets out and it just walks around, and he's like, how long do I have to stay on this? That's a little too silly, but it's funny to me.
It would even work. But I almost want even the idea that it would work is, when asked about it later, they're like, "So did you know this event was going to happen? Do you know they were going to choose that bull?" And he was like, "Oh no, I just like doing it. I like hanging out with the bulls. They're fun." Like I just.
And then the ox is like, but for real, like, did you play in this? He's like, yes, yeah, 100%. Are you kidding me?
It took forever. I like that. That's the one I like the most.
Okay.
Because it's not just pure intelligence too.
And it's not clever on the spot. It's more like, no, I plan.
Cunning,
I think ahead.
Yeah, but also pretty good natured.
Yeah.
He didn't think of the evil way to do it. He was like, "Oh, it takes a while, but it'll get it done, and no one will get hurt. This will be the best way."
Yeah, something.
I like
does
that.
that work?
That works. That works really well.
Well, remember, you're gonna have to spend a lot of time before that moment, as with each caravan as they arrive, explaining what they have, and then you could use each one as an opportunity that brings something new that explains like their way of law.
Yeah.
In a quick way.
Just like a paragraph or two each.
Maybe. I don't know. See, I love that kind of stuff. That's the part where I just want to hear everything, which is funny because I am so terrified of writing it. Like, that's the thing I don't want to sit down and go, and then there's this thing who had
I
this.
like writing that.
No,
I know.
But the whole thing is like, I've done that, and then I read it, and I'm like, no, because it's not.
It's so funny because that's my favorite part of fantasy and sci-fi books is when they get into the nitty-gritty, but I don't trust myself to do it well.
I really, that's some of the shit that I hate the most.
Really? Did you read the Song of Ice and Fire?
Yeah, no, does it really well.
Yeah,
but I think it's the exception.
People complain about it, and I never understood why. People complain that he spends so much time
I like it.
Explaining what people are eating, and I'm like, don't you see that that builds tension in the scene? Like,
and also it's a part of who these people are.
Yeah,
and he does take time with it.
Every time he does that, it's normally because they are putting off discussing what's really going on, and one character has to wait while more and more shit comes out, and like the extravagance of it tells you more about what's happening. But people don't like it.
No, and I love all the side stories, or when they're just straight up telling stories from the past.
Yeah.
As set up, and the guy even is knowing, the person who's telling the story generally is telling a fable or something to learn from history to someone. 9 times out of 10, they don't understand it.
That's some of my favorite parts of The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Mm-hmm. It just, there's like in between the chapters, there's just, here's another part of this epic fable that everybody here believes that the main character, it's kind of works as a foil for what the main character is going through.
She does that a lot. Oh. I love the way she does that.
It's done really well, and I love it. I guess I should just get over my fear of writing that stuff poorly, because I should just write it poorly and then fix it.
And then fix it.
Anything else you want to workshop about that?
No, but that's just where I was stuck, where I wrote 2 or 3 pages of the games, and I hated it. It was so bad. Just
extra games and more games.
Yeah, well, no, it was like there was like 1 or 2 things that happened. There was a long short foot race and a short foot race, and I was like, short foot race. There ain't no way thinking your way out of that. Fastest guy is gonna win. It's too short to be tricky about it. And then long foot race, Fox wins because he doesn't run all the way. He just kind of makes a gallop. Mm-hmm. He's like
Clint. What's that guy's name?
The Australian guy?
Cliff Young,
who just destroyed everyone. He just makes a little gallop.
In his 60s.
Yeah, that's I kind of stole it from that. And then you have a couple of strength games that the Ox is just not good at because there's skill involved. Mm-hmm. And then the one that's just pure brute strength, he comes in second.
That could be good. I'm looking forward to reading it. But that bull thing I think is a good idea. I've never seen that in a book. If it's a bull,
and
it could
also
be something else.
It could be an ox.
Yeah, it's true.
Likes hanging out with the ox.
So that could be a good foreshadowing for the story, or what's the retelling of, what is it when you tell the story you're going to tell and then you tell it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's the idea is that he this whole time has been becoming friends with these oxen, so that when the time came for him to use them, they would help him. And now there's the ox that he's spent all this time.
I get it, because you were trying to use the fox to set the ox up with the other girl.
Oh, yeah.
To be like, no, well, she told me she'd win. She'd kiss the ox because she didn't think I'd win. And he's got the actual ox. Just to mess with his friend. Or like he did it to set his friend up for
while
a
we're
kiss.
on this, I still need to come up with the idea of the pairing, which is I think I want to do that during the wedding. People on the opposite side of the wedding party are kind of how they do the, what is it? Like, she tossed the bouquet, and what's the
corsage? The garter?
No, sorry, garter. The garter.
The garter, and they kind of try and set people up, because it's a wedding, and yay. I want a clever way for the fox to set up Joanna and the ox.
I wonder if there is... it'd be interesting if you just called them the fox and the ox the entire book.
I might need to.
Because the road, it just refers to them as the man and the boy the entire book.
Okay.
But characters, when saying their name, they would know their names.
They don't have to say their name if they know each other.
Avoiding that would be weird, I think.
It's not weird in I guess nobody knows their
name. Knows anyone's name.
Yeah. There's lots of symbolic stuff that you could do from a wedding, like a special glass that they both drink out of, or I
was trying to think of maybe if there was like a musical chairs like thing, and he knows what the song is, and he's counting the whole time, and he starts switching people, like he starts switching places with him. He's the one standing next to him, and he's switching places with him to get him where he needs to go.
Yeah, you could look at I think there's probably some game theory about musical chairs and stuff like that, like about how to always come out ahead. Just think about
really?
It. Yeah,
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, but that's frivolous in my opinion.
Well, it's a frivolous pursuit.
But it's also a pursuit. The whole point is to be like, 1, the fox is smart enough to get a lot of shit done. 2, he's willing to waste an inordinate amount of time to learn a thing to help his friend. He's like, he likes that girl. Okay, done.
I was thinking like a 3-legged race, and he just messes up all the other pairs with pairing. But like, oh no, they shift to the right, they shift to the left. Those two are going together.
Do you know what captures him or takes him away?
There's Northern Raiders because there's a civil war, which is based on the idea where, like, in the Ottoman Empire, if you're the oldest son and you were risen to sultan, the first thing you do is kill your brothers, all of them, by law. By law, they are sentenced to death instantly, and anyone who harbors them is immediately criminal. So what you have is 3 kids who, and before that happens, they don't do it just in case you die, and they need more heirs. So the whole story is it's a winner-take-all society, and when things go bad, other people die, and it's to contrast with that essentially communist group.
Right.
So there's a civil war going on because there's a younger brother who's hiding out in the south who's being held by his essentially his own army that he controlled that refused to give him up when his brother came to power.
Because his brother's a twat?
No, just because it's law. His brother doesn't even want to have his other brother killed. It's just law that when you're the oldest, you kill everyone else.
Interesting.
To consolidate power.
So is there a way, because until he gets to the fox, which I'm assuming is going to happen pretty quickly, right? He's going to get to him, not free or stuff, but they have to like escape together and stuff. I could be totally wrong. I'm just assuming. Is there a way for him to start facing these challenges and like comes up against adversity they normally power through and be like, okay, well, what would the fox do?
Yeah.
And for him to have those moments, the fox needs to say things to him before then, like, like, how did you figure this out? Well, I think this way, like little bits of wisdom from him.
Yeah, I'm gonna need those, and because part of the story of the ox is a guy who is afraid of everything and relies on his strength. He has the strength to endure. I want it to become the strength of everything.
I think you could do vice versa too, where the fox would be in a position where he would have to remember.
He can't think of any good way to talk his way out of a problem.
He's like, fuck it.
He's like, you just have to endure right now.
Or he's like trying to hold something, and he's like, I just got it. It hurts so bad, and he's like, the ox wouldn't give up, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I like it.
What about you, Max?
I am stuck on the pirate story, and I've also been writing an RPG for my friend, so I haven't really worked on the pirate thing. But I want to get the Marine lieutenant in, but I'm trying to figure out the best way of doing that. Of having the story told from 2 different viewpoints.
You could do it chapter for chapter. Lots of people do it that way.
Yeah.
And it's easy because then you get to switch gears from voice to voice.
Yeah.
Or you could do the thing where anytime where their thoughts align on a specific thing, you just switch to that character.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 ways I've seen it done where it wasn't confusing. Like where it's like a guy looked at the sun and he thought this, and as this guy looked at the sun, he did.
It's like, and the captain looks at the sun, thinks about this, this is what time it is, and then the lieutenant is he's like, he sees the sun and he just squints.
Yeah, and then you describe his surroundings and then put in the context of what he's doing at that same moment.
Okay, yeah, I like that, because I've been wondering.
Only you can't do the sun because it's at night for that first chapter.
That is, yeah. Which you guys said shouldn't be the first chapter.
Well, it's a shame there's no other celestial body at night.
That you would squint at? I guess it's my own bullshit, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, but yeah, that's just one. If I wanted to do the Marine, if I want to do the captain, if I want to do them both, I've been thrown through a loop.
No, you can, and also you can start there at chapter 1. You're going to need to go back eventually.
Yeah,
but you can do that at your leisure.
Because I want to write about this world, and it's kind of a treatise on my disapproval of the American Revolution.
Because we don't really get. Oh my god.
I love it when you say that because everyone's always surprised.
Yeah.
Because we never got an outline, like a real one. What's your plot for this story? Like, do you have a basic outline?
Basic outline is there's going to be a revolution where the colonists join up with another country and
France.
Well, France stand in.
Goal.
Where they're going to be doing it, but they're really doing it.
I'm already using that. You can't.
Yeah.
I'm not using it. My story's science fiction.
I'm using it.
But the French, they're doing it for their ulterior motives. And he can just to get in good on there, and he can see that, so he escapes. He gets to the south to a St. Augustine type fort, and he wants to take it over as a base for the navy that will be coming from the main continent. And he has to talk to the local pirates. The pirates that he's been fighting, he now needs them as a naval force.
Okay.
Kind of like Jackson did in Battle of New Orleans.
Mhm.
He got the pirates to come in and help him, which is
Because he
what-
hated the British more than he hated
Yeah.
pirates. Yeah.
and it would be the same thing where he would be
Because he hated the British more than he hated anything.
Yeah. I think he hated the British more than anyone has ever hated anything.
Yeah. Well, there's a story when he was like 12 years old. They were taking his mom away,
Yep.
Mhm.
and the
They-
British officer punched him with the sword.
Well, no, they were beating. They basically turned them into slaves in their like labor camp, and they were beating his brother to death in front of him.
Oh, that's
and he
the
raised
story.
his hand to stop them, and they shoved
Yeah.
a bayonet through it. And then he watched his brother be beaten to death.
Yeah.
And then he got real sick. His mom came and saved him, but he still completely almost died on the way
Yeah.
back to his house.
And they killed his dad, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, before that ever happened.
And then he became, well, I guess he was Andrew Jackson, but he became like the Wolverine version of Andrew Jackson.
Old Hickory.
Yeah. But I want to go
He
with that.
lived to be 96.
He's going to convince the pirates that the time they had before of him chasing them and them being was so much better than them living in a country that hated them,
Mhm.
as opposed to them living in colonies where the main country hates them.
Hmm.
So kind of, the
Offering them a kind of amnesty.
rather have one tyrant 3,000 miles away than 300 tyrants 1 mile away, but flipping it to where he wouldn't think of his king as a tyrant, but he's like, listen, what we were doing before worked out way better for you than if they have a navy 10 miles away from you.
Yeah.
So the pirates will...
They'll be much faster to respond.
Yeah.
Also, they'll be mostly made out of ex-pirates, because that's what our Navy really was made
Yeah.
of.
So he'll get the pirates, and they will take the fort. Last quarter of the book will.
So I'm just saying, at the end of this, are you just like really celebrating the concept of empire?
Yeah.
Okay. As long
just
as you
think
know
about-
that's what you're doing.
Because
Oh,
then
no,
you'll have
that's
to write your
totally-
stranger in a strange land after
Yeah.
this.
Because I was in the museum at St. Augustine, and they have a setup of the East Florida Rangers, and it was a group of people who fought for the British Empire. And I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to write a story about it, but set in a different universe because I want them to have motorboats and real naval guns.
This sounds
And
cool,
real
man.
guns.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm for it.
I like writing. I like making things like the sail apple grenade. I've got a lot of notebooks of that kind of stuff, of just designing the world and then writing a story based in it.
What's your main commander? What's his deal? Like what's because he needs personality. Like
Yeah,
he really
he's
needs
a very
personality.
rich, foppish kind of guy. He is the son of a duke, so he has everything taken care of.
I'm worried about like his personal worries while he's doing this.
His personal worry is glory and advancement.
Mhm.
Everything he does is to walk into the Admiralty and get a new pin on his jacket.
But why is he like trying to impress his dad, or is it like he feels
Social advancement, just to show everyone else
Okay.
that
He's really full of himself.
Well,
He
he's
needs
full
to
of
show you
himself.
his Pokemons.
and he's full of himself and the concept of empire.
Okay.
And he's going to go through and eventually see the shitty underpinnings of that empire that he would have never seen before because he's at the very top level of it.
And then what is the path of the Marine? Does he follow him, or is the Marine going to help fight him?
The Marine's going to follow him because what I want to happen is when the capital city, Richthaven, is attacked, he's going to run back to his ship, and I want most of his crew to try to arrest him because they are the low class of the low, and they're like, no, this is going to be a good thing for us. And he's like, no, it's for the king. We must do this. And they're like, yeah, fuck the king. We don't care. He's like, no, you can't say that. And then the Marine's going to help him get away.
I wonder if there's a good opportunity for the main thrust of their character arcs to be any time that they actually have to get together, and he has to lower himself to the Marines level to be like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, I nobody tells me the truth because of my rank. Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh well, fuck. All right, this is what's
Or-
really going on, and this
Yeah.
and this and this.
But it'd also be a good way to do is like, it's like I do this. I always knew you were a man loyal to the king. And he's like, fuck the king. I'm loyal to you.
Yeah,
Like,
I've never
you're-
seen the king in my life. I never will.
Yeah. I like that.
But that should be
Yeah.
the whole point.
So there
is
should
like,
be a good reason why he's loyal to just him. Maybe there's something that particular guy did for him, like stood up for him, or took the fall for something because he's just like, oh, that's part of my duty. That's just what
Or
I
just-
do.
or just
and,
let
and,
him-
he- and it really mattered.
or the idea like he gets to he's advanced beyond what he possibly thought he could be. When he asked him, he's like, why'd you do that? He's like, because you were good at your job. You're good at your job. You get to go up.
You get to keep
To a
doing it.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not a gentleman.
you
but
can't be the
can
king. You're not gonna be
Yeah.
like the king
like-
could be as bad as his job as he wants.
But you certainly could be a colonel.
I like that. Yeah, I got to think of the.
Their relationship, I think, sounds
Yeah.
like the thrust of your book. Because then, like, once you have moments like that, you can separate the two of them,
Yeah.
and then the audience knows where they're coming from. You know.
And you can have them butt heads on certain things.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of to the middle of the whole thing where the captain always thought the aristocracy was the greatest thing.
And then it
everything
ends,
was
of
great.
course, with the thing that must happen, which is Pirate Nation.
Well, they're going to help him. And then second, third book, just see all the people who started the revolution hanging.
I wonder what happens to your Marine. Like, where does he end when this book is over? Because if you're...
He's obviously George Washington.
He'll kill you in your sleep on Christmas.
George Washington is one of those sail apples at the end.
Yeah.
He's hanging.
I think what I was going to say is your captain at the end becomes disenfranchised with the Empire, even though he receives like a high accolade. What's the arc that your Marine ends at, do you think? Like, what's the most opposite of where he started?
Where he started would be...
Or what is interesting and inevitable?
I think for him, he could be knighted and brought up into that and just bring a new wave of that kind of mindedness into the aristocracy.
Anybody else think it's really weird that all of the British knights right now are bards? It's like from a D&D perspective.
No, because there are other knights. They're not famous. Like mathematicians and scientists still get knighted, and
yeah, but I mean, like
soldiers still get knighted.
Soldiers get knighted.
Soldiers still get knighted.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You just don't hear about them because they're not famous for it.
Huh.
It's true.
And most of them also do not want to be famous for it.
Pretty sure Elton John could kick some ass though.
Really?
Yeah.
In his high-heeled boots.
He owns a football team. I'm pretty sure he could throw down.
I think if I accidentally bumped into him, he might break his leg.
Yeah.
He is a portly, off-balance...
Yeah, but he's scrappy, old English portly. To where if you were trying to take the last, like, sausage
He
roll,
might be queen bitch. I'm not sure how scrappy.
He might have a good slap.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm really giving him. I saw this fucking picture today, but it was this girl in like leggings with like this pseudo mohawk and the black lipstick, and she's standing like she's like 50 pounds overweight and soft as a fucking jelly donut. It says, "I call this look, I'm ready to destroy every man with my bare hands." And I'm just like, destroy one. I'm looking at this picture, I'm like, what do you mean by destroy? God. With your bare hands? Like, you are the softest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
People are... I was subbing for drama today, and these girls are sitting up there, and they're like, yeah, I used to be so punk and emo, and they're like, if you just get a flannel jacket, you'd be so grunge. This look is grunge. She had like a necklace. She's like, yeah, this is the new grunge look. And I'm like,
have you heard about this thing called soft grunge?
No, but I didn't know any of these things.
Soft grunge is my favorite shit.
It just should be called diarrhea.
Yeah. But like those are fashions now.
Yeah,
I mean, they always were fashion, but now they're just like...
Oh, no, but the whole thing is they
were subculture, musical subcultures.
Yeah, they've been completely divorced from the subcultures that they were involved in. There is no flagship band of anything anymore.
I guess it's my turn, right? Unless you got more you want to workshop, we can do that.
It's really the RPG, and this is not the place to talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the help.
Hey, no problem, man. I wish there was more we could help you with.
I want to help you design the uniforms at some point.
Hell yeah.
I think there's a company called Hugo Boss that did uniforms for an army once.
Yeah.
Something good.
Well, to be fair, they were very striking.
That is an excellent adjective for
which is why they're the villains in everything.
It's true.
Do you remember when we came up with steampunk Star Trek?
Yeah.
That would have been good. Colonial Star Trek.
Yeah, and there's ships that fart and sputter in space.
Airships.
Okay. Air Trek. All right, so what I've got is the chapter after the bear attack, which it's not a bear, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
The owl bear.
They're working their way back to his village, and so far what I have is Malcolm and Kilvin are walking back, and Kilvin's like, "Where are your shoes? Or your foot coverings? Like, are they?" And he's like, "I left them in the cave." And Kilvin like looks back and he's like, "Do you need them?" You know, like, and he's like, "I don't know. I don't know. I think I'll be okay." And he's like, "Then why do you wear them?" And he's like, "Well, the ground where I come from is different. It's hard, and there's really sharp things you can step on, and it's really hard to explain if you've never seen it." And they get to a clearing, and Kilvin motions with his hands, and a bunch of Wilviks drop down from the trees, and he's like, "Okay, any sign of any more? Or, is it this?" And they're like, "No, nothing else." And he's like, no markings, no this." They're like, "No, he didn't leave anything. There was no tracks, no trails. If he was looking for somebody, we couldn't tell." And he's like, "Damn, maybe we should have waited longer." And Malcolm's like, "The bear? No, there were markings in the cave. I saw them. It even showed some of the Wilviks. If you go back to the cave, you'll see them, but it's dangerous." And they're like, "No, that's not what we're talking about." And then he realizes that they were watching him the whole time, and he gets very upset because he's like, "What is this? Is this fun to you? Like I'm bait to catch watch these things? Is that what you're doing this for? Like, you could have shown me the right way. Was I even going the right way? Takes it very personally, and that's all I've got so far because it took me forever of trying to write the track back to even come up with that, which I think is a good starting place.
Yeah.
But what I need to happen in this chapter is that Kilvin now takes full responsibility for Malcolm. Malcolm's no longer a prisoner, but they can't just let him go because he'll die. He's also clearly helpless. He doesn't know anything, but they're going to put him to work in the village. What I need is a scene like those two things that I just talked about to transition their way back to him getting a job and
I think even chopping firewood would be something he was so inept at that anyone in the world would know how to do.
That's a good
that
point.
kind of thing.
Well, but
Basic.
the whole thing is, with his size difference, within an hour, he'd be able to chop more wood than a Wilvix.
Maybe.
But
well, because it's
he just
technique
wouldn't-
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he wouldn't
but-
have it down, and they would be like, they'd see him doing it. They wouldn't let him go for an hour.
I was
you know?
thinking because
But then he would pick up all the wood.
Yeah.
Especially how their legs seem to be designed. There's no way they'd be able to support that much weight.
My worry, my problem is really literally just the writing the transition between where they are in the woods now, where Malcolm finds out that information, to them getting back to Kilvin's home. Because once from there, I think I've got a few ideas, like them
can
having
see him-
conversations of like, what do you people eat? Your people, and he's like, well, I ate the stuff that you serve. That stuff's fine. He's like, right, but do you need more? Is there meat? Do you eat? And he's like, yeah, I eat meat. Like I eat all that stuff. And they have to kind of be like, okay, well, we'll get you some stuff.
You can have him freak out, and then the next line is like, and they didn't, like, after he freaks out and they say enough of that, he's like, and they didn't speak
The entire way back.
the entire way back into the next day. And then you can have just a scene where in the middle of the day, door of whatever it is now just open because Kilvin isn't afraid at all
Yeah.
of him running away.
That's a good idea.
Well, I
and
can see them.
then it could be something really innocent, and I think Kelvin should be the first one who goes like,
You're,
"So what do you-
you're on the right track
He's like,
now.
"So
yeah,
what do you
this
wanna-
is what I'm looking for.
What do you want to do? We've never asked you this before. What do you want to do?"
What
And he's
can
like,
you do?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, just really get down to it. Like, it's not interrogation in the same sense, but just like really, like, who are you?
Yeah.
What can you do? Come on, let's figure something out. Because if you're gonna stay here, you need
You have to pull your weight. Yeah.
Like, not only you have to pull your weight, but you're a child. You have to improve. Like, you have to be,
Yeah.
learn things. And
I'd say in that time span, it would be interesting to explore his realization that the Kilvin were afraid of him, where he's been terrified,
Wilvix.
Wilvix, sorry. He's been scared this whole time. And then all of a sudden he sees them and he's like, they were scared of me. They were wondering what I was doing.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Kilvin can explain that to him.
Yeah.
Like maybe.
Yeah. Or even if he actually gets to go out into the village at some point, he can realize like they're very quick. They have really good dexterity. When they strike very firmly. But he's stronger than them. He's not even full grown. He's stronger than them.
That could be good. And I think that's a good opportunity for me to just fucking write the fluff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I really don't write the fluff. You guys have been reading what I've written up to this point. You see how I really just try to hint at little parts that fit together when I do that. And that's, I don't want to discount that because I do like books that are written that way. But it's really fucking hard to do that.
To pick and choose your moments. Yeah.
Yeah. And you really have to say, okay, well, I'm leaving this part out and I'm leaving this part out. Like, I think it's okay to do an info dump once you've gotten somebody this far. Right, and they really, people are going to want to know everything about these characters by now.
Again, if you're already invested in Malcolm, you could dump some info onto him. He can make an internal decision or conclusion about it. You get a little more characterization, and because he's the way that you see it, and it's being presented that way, you care more because it's through Malcolm's eyes. Mm-hmm. It's not an info dump, or it's not just an info dump. It's an info dump and something he's going to need to be made aware of.
Okay. Yeah, no,
or it's an info dump with purpose for him.
And I got to find a way for him to find out information. I need to decide what comes out of Kilvin and what he discovers on his own.
Yeah.
That's a thing, too, because I think Kilvin at this point is going to be like, okay, look, I'm a dad. I'm going to have to treat you like a child because it's not fair how you're being treated. Well, not only not fair, it's like you're going to be hurt by your involvement in our village unless somebody here actually provides for you with information.
We are stunting you in some way, in some important way.
And probably introduces children. Like they're in it, but I mean, like actually, Malcolm can talk to them now, and they can ask him. Like, so you can have an info dump the reverse way, where they're asking him questions, but their questions, how they phrase them, give information about
how they
their
work.
world. Yeah. I don't know, there's a lot to I've got a lot to unpack, but I really just couldn't even picture the transition from this moment where Malcolm finds out the truth about why he was out there to getting back home, but I guess it just like they didn't speak.
Have him shut down. Or Malcolm thought a lot about this thing and this thing, but he came to he made no conclusions, or he didn't come into any realization, or he didn't feel better about them. And you can cut out all that. We're like, you could have an interesting scene or an interesting moment, or you could just say, and nothing happened.
So I need to also make some world building decisions, not from the sense of like how the world works, but the next characters that Malcolm's going to be introduced to, I need to decide what clan they're in and how they fit into the hierarchy of the village, so that when they show up later for the tournament and the expedition like fight and stuff, that it matters. Malcolm needs to start learning the martial art, because he's like, your people know how to fight. I don't know how they fight, so I'm just going to teach you how I fight.
And he's like, I don't know how to fight at all, so this is perfect.
Maybe sending him out hunting with the women, because they go out scouting and hunting. But he's just terrible at it because he's so heavy and slow, but strong. Maybe they could make for him like a stronger bow that nobody else could, only the strongest like Wilvix could pull, and it's really hard for him, but he can do it. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Or even just the reveal, like after he gets good at it for a while, and he's like, can you make a bigger one?
That could work.
We've never made a bigger one. He was like,
it'd be funny. Then he gets to the human area. They give him a bow, and it's way too hard.
Yeah, it's still too hard.
It is so hard for him. He's like, no, this is too strong. I'm sorry. I can't do it. So, okay. Thanks, guys. I think that's given me a lot. That gives me the transition. And now I'll just do the basic Lego world-building blocks of who he talks to and what clan and that kind of thing. And that gives me a couple cool scenes. What jobs could he do? You said chopping wood, even hunting.
Basic blacksmithing, making nails.
What I'm thinking of is stuff that involves strength and stamina. Even something that he's not particularly skilled at, he can just do it for longer.
Or what if there's some techniques that we would think of as being classically womanly, like in the old world? So like weaving things, making fabric. Because remember, Kilvin made his clothes.
Yeah.
So if it's like everybody participates in that Malcolm can realize that he likes doing that. He's like, oh, I didn't realize I would like doing this. He's like, my mom never sewed anything, like I don't know anybody who sews anything. We always bought clothes. But he like enjoys small stuff like that, and maybe there's a payoff for that later.
Yeah. And also he's still a human. He's still got good hands.
Yeah.
What if he like pushes the grindstone for their wheat?
Well, I'm
like Conan the Barbarian in the beginning of the movie. Well, I'd imagine they'd have it on a water mill, right? Because they control water a lot.
Yeah, and then they're not idiots. They're using like they wouldn't if there was a job in the village that required strength, they would have found a way around it.
I just imagine them using a donkey. Round and around.
Yeah, but I like the idea of like they think he can't do anything until he carries a heavy load and just doesn't seem to care.
The thing with humans, we're very dexterous. Like you'd see a big guy,
Also, I was having
especially kids that age learn fast.
Yeah, but I was reading one of those articles of like humans can't do anything well except for long distance running, and it was comparing them to horses, and then the comparison for lifting was like, oh, well, this 300-pound guy can only lift 800 pounds, but this elephant can lift this much more. But then you look at the weight of the elephant, and you're like, humans are better at lifting than elephants.
But
fuck you.
But not better than gorillas.
But not better
not
than
even
gorillas.
Close. Chimpanzees, half our weight, can lift double what we can.
Yeah, but how many humans do they have in zoos?
That's an excellent point.
Number one.
No, they have two.
Number one.
They have 2 humans in zoos.
No, I'm talking about gorillas and chimpanzees.
No, they have 2. They have 2 humans in zoos.
You're going to have to qualify that.
Wait, do chimpanzees and gorillas have zoos?
Yeah, they have. There's 4 major zoos, and 2 of them have humans.
Explain.
I think he's thinking of Planet of the Apes.
No, I'm just giving you.
Planet of the Apes have the shittiest zoo ever. They've only got 2 humans.
Well, they're dead. They're dead and stuff. They were
right. All right, well, that's it for me, guys. Thank you. Hopefully we'll have something worth reading next time we meet.
I hope we ever have anything worth reading. Heyo!
Bad storytellers. Whoop.
So now we're going to move on to the bad story trailers part of the podcast, where we roll the dice, pick the genres, and come up with a movie idea. All right, Max,
boom, boom.
do the first honors.
69.
7, actually.
67?
Nope, just 7.
Just 7? Man, that was a roller coaster.
007, actually.
Adventure General. We've had this one before. An adventure story is about a protagonist who journeys to epic or distant places to accomplish something. It can have many other genre elements included within it because it is very open genre.
I like the sound of that.
All right.
23.
23. Gangster adventure.
I'm into it.
Okay. All right.
Like Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis.
Wasn't that Yojimbo?
Yeah, again.
Okay. Let's see. The description of gangster.
25% of movies are just remakes of Kurosawa movies.
Gangster is literature that focuses on gangs, criminal organizations, which provide a level of organization and resources that support much larger and more complex criminal transactions than an individual criminal could achieve. Gangsters are the subject of many movies, particularly from the period between 1930 and 1960.
What lawyer came up with criminal transaction? Like, they were involved in criminal transaction. No, they robbed us and then shot some guy's kneecaps.
Drug deals
are criminal
transactions.
Arms.
Yeah.
But I mean, they use that as a blanket term for criminal acts.
Do they?
Even in the description there.
Does it?
Yeah.
More complex criminal transactions. I don't know. Maybe. All right, here we go. 62. Mystery.
All right.
A gangster mystery adventure.
Yeah, that's fit.
A mystery story follows an investigator as he or she attempts to solve a crime. The details and clues are presented as the story continues, and the protagonist discovers them, and by the end of the story, the perpetrator and motive behind the crime are revealed, and the perpetrator is brought to justice.
All right. How about an internal investigation?
Within a mob?
Yeah. So there's something terrible has gone on a big scale. Big thing went down.
Mm-hmm.
No one really knows what's going on because they're mobsters. So you don't really get to find out the details of anything involved. A guy in the mob is internally investigating what went down.
What if it's
so what's the big adventure part of it though?
Maybe the mob is worldwide. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
worldwide crime.
So you have a guy being brought in from a faraway place.
Well, I'd imagine what if he's like a top level mob guy who's like, I got to go undercover in the organization now, and he like re-enlists as a new guy.
Undercover boss, but mafia edition.
Yeah, and he ends up going to all these places, and everybody's like, man, you're going to be sent to Tony Patoni's place in Tangiers. Like, how'd you get that gig? He's like, I got resources. He's like, he likes me, the boss likes me, but it's actually him.
I was thinking more like, what if they were hunting down people who are kept by the government, the witness protection? If they were just hunting them down.
That's a good idea too.
Damn. That's the detective story, the adventure, and the crime, right? Or mystery, sorry.
It'd be cool to have a mob character as the protagonist against the government.
Yeah.
And he's hunting down.
And he finds like a bigger. So what?
But I don't want him to seem like a cold-hearted killer. Like he's trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
Like, because if it's just you're tracking someone,
you know what would be cool is if he's part of a large mafia, and something happens to them, and they're like, "How's this even work? What's going on? Somebody's crooked," and he finds out it was this branch of government, and he's like, "What? Like the government did this?" But it's not. But he finds out like the triads had something happen, so he's got to go all the way to China to talk to their guys and be like, "Did something like this happen to you? It happened to us too." And they find out that the Chinese government's in collusion with the American government to do like some other like big deal, and there's some secret organization running the world, Illuminati.
That's where it goes adventure.
The mafia versus the Illuminati.
Done. I love that, and it's not even against the direct government. It's not the day-to-day. We're putting up signposts. It's like the secret government, and they've been
Skull and Bones.
They've been trying to take down organized crime because they're the only people with the large enough resources to like figure it out.
Yeah,
I like it.
Or even it's just somebody specific was killed because that person was involved with them or knew something, and this guy has to do it, and then like it's like, hey, you had any weird deaths up here in the Chinatown? like, and it's like, this isn't Chinatown, this is China.
Yeah, and or even the idea they're like, deaths happen all the time in our line of work. And he's like, this don't feel right though. This don't feel right.
There's something weird. Let me lay out, and he'll like explain what happened with this death, and then they're like, okay, yes,
that's too similar.
Yes, hold on. And then like he and the Chinese get some guy who's like an informant, beat the shit out of him together, and he's like, hang on, I gotta get the information out of him. But they're like, no, we kill informants. And he's like, you can kill him when I'm done. Just I gotta get this information. I flew all the way over here. It sounds too much like a comedy, but it's not what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's also a little fish out of water.
Yeah.
But
I think that could work.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think that's great.
So I don't want to do Italian mafia because that's too normal, right? So Irish mafia is being popularized by that show Ray Donovan. Yeah, Ray Donovan is they're focusing on Irish mob. So is Daredevil right now.
Yeah.
So
Punisher did it.
Yeah. So what if it's Russian mafia?
He like Peaky Blinders, just some. Straight up English game.
Well, no.
What if it's a lower?
They're not straight up English. That's the problem.
Well,
What if it's a lower tier?
They're pikeys.
What if it's like a lower tier, like town specific?
I was gonna say the Purple
Mob.
Gang never gets credit anymore.
The Purple Gang?
They were the Jewish mafia, and they were the most feared. All the other mafias would hire them to kill people because they were so crazy. Elvis referenced them in the Jailhouse Rock.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, what if it's a new one? What if it's like a new, very small one, and something bad happens, and this guy's like, "Hang on, like
We're the only game in town.
yeah, we're the only game in this very small town. Who would put a hit out on this? They're trying to make us like maybe it's somebody's trying to make them fight against a bigger mafia,
Yeah.
and he's like, no, something's fishy.
I would say La M.A., but I don't want to do the accent.
What's that?
That Mexican gang. It's all the Mexican gangs put together. They call themselves La M.A.
Yeah, the cartels. If we could evolve the cartels, the triads, the Yakuza, the Russian mafia, I forgot what they were called, and then, the mafia. But it's this small gang. Where are they based? Like, it has to be a town.
I want to be in like Iowa for some reason.
Yeah, it's got to be like a bigger deal. Like they're
Cincinnati?
New gang. Cincinnati
Town, but not
Twin Cities,
but
right?
not a town that you think of as like a crime capital.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Chicago, Detroit.
What
New
about
York.
Alaska? Alaska has a lot of drug dealing and crime going on.
Yeah, no, but
Too
it's all
spread
small.
out, too
But it's also
small.
it's also that's very small scale. That's 6 guys.
Shit. Texas.
Yes.
Like between Austin and Houston.
Laredo.
Between Austin and Dallas.
straight up Fort Worth.
Yeah, something happened where crime's starting to rise, and these guys are like, no, we gotta take a handle on this because it can't be this high, or else we're gonna get government attention. So this small group of Texas gangsters that are just otherwise look like normal people.
Yeah, and they're a little Hank Hill-y about it. They're like, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I don't speak any Chinese, but it looks
But I know
messed
what
up to me.
But I know what a murder looks like.
Yeah. Don't hit him so hard. I'm trying to question him. I think Hank could be.
God damn.
Yeah.
I think the main character's name could be Hank.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
just straight up
Can it
Hank.
be called Hank versus the Illuminati?
No.
No, because that ruins it. That ruins
Yeah.
because it's a mystery. Oh, you get up in the woods with your badger costumes and you're fucking each other.
God damn it, Bobby.
I don't know what kind of weird sex orgy crap you all doing, but you killed my friend.
We were going to have a sex orgy, and you killed him.
I had a nice barbecue planned.
The game was on.
Yeah.
You heard of this wife swapping?
It don't make no sense to me, but I hear they like it.
Who'd want another wife?
I already hate the one I got.
You get yelled at in surround sound.
All right, so let's think of a name for this. So it's Hank is the Texas Mafia. He's not the leader, right? He's got to
No.
he's got to be one of the guys that's just like, all right,
He's a mid-level guy who they can
Trust.
but also send on something and it doesn't all fall apart. He's not a, he's new,
So
he's not a red pole.
So somebody killed one of their guys and planted evidence to make it look like it was the fucking Italian mob or some other, maybe because big oil is big in Russia. So who would be big oil is big in Texas. So who would be into it? You think maybe Russia or
Anyone?
Native Americans?
No.
When is this?
Now.
Yeah.
Now. Okay. Yeah, so what is it, like Gazprom or something over in Russia? One of the big companies?
China is actually like jonesing for oil real bad. So
We'll say it's the triads. They
Yeah.
try to make it look like it's the triads. They came in from the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
The cartel. What am I talking
yeah,
about?
done.
Yeah, so they try to make it like it's cartel. So this guy has to meet with the cartel.
And then finds out that he's like it wasn't us, and he was like, who's looking for oil? And he was like, Chinese are looking for oil.
He goes to the Chinese and finds out that it's a.
There's another like, but he asks around in the cartel, and there's been a couple murders that have kind of hit the same thing.
And when he shows up, like two people who were mid-level they just ghost.
Yeah.
They're gone, and like that's a separate problem they're dealing with at the same time. And this guy's like, "What do you got a problem with your people? What's going on?" And they're like, "Well, just don't worry about it. Like, it's not none of your business." He's like, "Listen, when this happened, and I said I was going to look, we lost some people. They vanished, and I think they were responsible. So that's all I'm saying. Like we could work in this, and then maybe he's like, I'll help you find these guys, and then that's where it starts and goes. Because that's an adventure, right? He goes to Mexico, he goes to China, he goes to Japan. It'd be funny that he's the peacemaker between all of these.
It ends on a like a natural gas derrick in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm. I would like a submarine complex Because it's the Illuminati, right?
Yeah.
They can have whatever they want.
I think we should have Beyonce get away.
Or
with it.
It's not going to end up on the moon.
No, it's stupid. But the whole thing is like run silent, run deep. I like that.
Yeah.
The end of the movie is Beyonce is getting away, and so there's going to be a sequel.
God, it's just Beyonce the whole time.
And Justin Bieber. Don't forget, he's
Jay-Z
also
is gonna
Illuminati.
be running it.
No,
Yeah.
he's too stupid.
Jay-Z and the Illuminati. Maybe that's the name of the movie.
Jay-Z and the Illuminati.
It's Illuminati.
Oh,
God
Jesus.
damn it.
All right, so what's our movie? What's the name? It's about...
Don't reference the Illuminati.
Don't rep
No,
because
no,
that's the
can't do it.
secret villain.
Yeah.
DC Cab.
What if we call it The Peacemaker?
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fitz Texas. Fitz, what is he doing?
Yeah. And he carries that gun. He's like, it's the
Also,
Peacemaker.
another thing I heard.
He's like, why do you carry a revolver? And he's like, doesn't jam.
Yeah.
It's like, what if there's more than 6 guys?
Got another one.
He literally just pulls out another gun. And they're like, okay.
Watching The Wiz today, and
I love that this is...
Richard Pryor comes on, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Steve Harvey," and I'm like, "That's not Steve Harvey." And they're like, "Yes, it is." And I was like, "No, it's Richard Pryor." And they're like, "No, that's Steve Harvey." They all had Google swore to the death that Richard Pryor was Steve Harvey, and it made me sad.
Is there a movie already called The Peacemaker?
I don't know.
Probably, and it's probably a Western.
Isn't there a movie called DC Cab?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. Oh, hey.
that's what
Yes.
I was looking at.
Senor T.
It came out in 1997.
I think we're safe.
3 stars.
Yeah, it sucks.
You seen it?
No, but it looks bad. It's got
What
one of
about
those-
George Clooney, Nicole Kidman.
What about The Peacemaker, bro? Actually, I want to make a movie now called Dude Fest in Toklahoma. It's an epic stoner movie.
Okay.
I see it as kind of like, what was that, Finding Woodstock or whatever movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only about the Shangri-La of weed.
Yeah.
It's my dream because I think Toklahoma is hilarious.
We should make that movie.
What was his... All right, so there's Pacifist, Peacenik, which is... He's not a Peacenik.
No.
Pacifier, that's already a movie with
Yeah,
Vin
it's
Diesel.
stupid.
The Intermediary, The Go-Between, Conciliator, Negotiator,
The Concierge.
Concierge. That it's like, oh, would you like to
Yeah.
book something?
Conciliary.
The Traveler.
You call it
The Wanderer.
The Reconciliation.
Shotgun Higgins.
Hobo with a Shotgun.
Lone Star.
Hank Does Shanghai.
The Arbiter.
Lone Star Hate.
Ooh. Look it up.
The Arbiter. Okay.
The Arbiter.
I like Arbiters because
Where the whole thing is like, I'm here to negotiate. Oh, you're the Arbiter. That's not the word I would use, but yes, I
There
am.
was a movie in 2013 called The
God
Arbiter.
damn it.
that's also what the
A scientist goes mad after his girlfriend's abortion and starts weeding out the genetically incompetent.
Oh, I don't think that counts.
Oh,
that
it's
it?
also a different language.
Yeah,
Sorry,
some-
yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good.
It's just a picture of the poster for this movie because it's in a different language. It's Kotu Moistia. And he's just got it's just a guy in a suit giving the thumbs down.
No.
Like, why would they put the critic of this movie on the cover?
Also, that's the movie poster that we need to make.
Thumbs down.
Also, we should just start making movie posters while we're at it.
All right, so The Arbiter. That's our film.
Yes, The Arbiter.
All right.
After a decade of hard-won criminality, the Camarillos were finally a force to be reckoned with.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em, boys.
But when a cartel hit takes out one of their leaders, Bagman Hank Yates has a few questions.
No way Guerrera did this.
The feds disagree, Hank. They say all their evidence points to their top guy.
You ever hear of the Iran-Contra affair?
Yeah, I think so.
Ain't him. We were in Nicaragua. Big stuff's right. Little stuff's all wrong.
Why would someone frame a cartel hitman?
Not sure. Good scapegoat, maybe? Something might have happened to Guerrera and they want people to think he's still around.
Well, it's not like we can just go ask him.
Tell Boss Hoss I'm going out of town for a while.
He would soon find that this rabbit hole might be deeper than he can dig.
Why would you risk coming here?
Because this ain't how we do things in Arlington. I'd rather have answers than bodies.
I got something I want you to see.
What's this?
Guerrera. Word is he killed one of yours, but you know that already.
Looks like a triad hit, if you ask me.
Triad? Oh, they don't even know what's coming to them.
Hang on. Any of your guys go missing before I showed up?
Maybe.
Get a head count. Looks like I've got a phone call to make. Howdy. I'd like to speak to Mistress Zhuo. Tell her it's her friend with the hat.
One cultured Texan takes on a worldwide conspiracy. I would go home if I were you.
Are you the guy?
Me? No. I'm just a concerned citizen with powerful friends.
Well, your friends best pull up their boots, 'cause it's about to rain shit in Spooktown.
You know nothing.
If I were you, I'd give up on ever seeing those friends again.
Join us for the reckoning this summer in The Arbiter.
I've been your host, Josh LaForge, and I'd like to thank my writing group, Doug Banks, Liam Malone, and Max Wessel. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.